Hi there, hi, welcome. I'm Diana. I spoke a little bit in a video I did a few days back about like what element are you, or astrological element are you, or element, earth, air, fire, water, and according to astrological sign, for example, I'm Capricorn, so I'm an earth element, but I also have a real affinity with water, and that's the actual opposite sign, Cancer. So I I'm linked strong with both. I mean, we all have a little bit of all the elements within us. But when we are born under a particular elemental sign, um, we have we're supposed to have the power of that element. Have any of you seen a film? I think it's called Avatar. And a little boy, a little monk, and he could control the elements. I think there one that he couldn't control and he had to learn how to master it. But basically, that is true. But so the thing is, we came into this earth and we all came with like a purpose, like our names, for example, a blueprint of what we're supposed to be doing here on earth, but that knowledge isn't taught to us these days. In the Pythagoras time, I mean, they say Pythagoras was the father of numbers, but it really was Imhotep. But that's another story for another time. But just for easiness sake, so back in that day, right, they had the knowledge, but it wasn't given to the so-called common people. It was given to officials and royalty and so on, because they deemed that knowledge to be too powerful for the so-called common people to have. And like in any time period, it's always those with power, kings and officials, queens and heads of governments and so on, that have this power, or stolen this power, to be quite honest, and use it for their own gain for themselves, while everybody else lives in suffering. But going back to I look around and I see the world is in such turmoil. All the elements now are out of alignment. They've gone crazy, they've gone mad. We've got the element of air, right, which deals with tornadoes and cyclones and storms and stuff like that. Totally gone crazy, out of alignment. Then we've got the earth element also, that's just, I don't know, that's out of control, because we have earthquakes all over the place and they're increasing more and more. And then you have the fire element, where we have like fire, wildfires all over the place, but we do have some fire coming from volcanoes as well. And the water element, floods, tsunamis, and what have you. And so everything, earth, air, fire, water. And so they're like the four sort of like physical elements, because the next one is air or spirit or ether, right? But so every one of us born, we really trained to control these elements. That's how far we have fallen, or maybe not fallen, being pushed, or we have our powers being stolen from us. And so many of us don't realize that that is what is so. I mean, we live such tiny, tiny, mundane lives. We are born into a system already set up for us. So, we go to school at this particular time, we leave school at this particular time, then, go to work at this particular time, we clock off at this particular time. Everything is already set up for us. And so we and then you have to pay for things that we really weren't supposed to have to pay for. And so the system has stolen so much from us. Or when you see the governments, it's they're like the puppets, um, really, and the true controllers are the ones actually pulling their strings, the puppet masters. I call them controllers. I don't like to use controllers because we all control. We have a certain amount of controllers, but you know what I mean, right? The hidden hand. And so because we humans are a source of amazing power, and even though they've stolen everything from us, because what they've done is they've interfered with our DNA. We had more than two strands of DNA. Look what we're doing with it, right? Look how much we're doing with it. Oh my goodness! In science and technology and every which way, we've got poets. We've got artists. We've got everything. Using the limited two DNA strands. And so they've manipulated our body because we have the ability to like regrow limbs, things like that. I mean, you see it happening with like lizards. If they lose a foot or a leg, they can regrow it. Um, at least in the time I was sick when I was younger, because born in Barbados, but grew up here most of my life. I've lived here in the UK, but I remember, yeah, they can grow back a tail, and but you see sometimes with men, I notice it more with black men, where when they shave and sometimes their skin, I don't know if it's when they like when they cut their skin shaving, it keloids. It has like that ridge, right? And what it is that um, thirst. Is that a good example? uh, it's basically. I think I've lost my train of thought with that. I'm gonna have to put back to it in a minute. Just let me stick a pin there. But I think what it is it's sort of like when they for some reason when they cut their skin right and it kind of like bumps up in like this sort of long like thick ridge, and it's I don't know, it's like it's like there's some kind of interruption in how can I put it, the skin is trying to do something. It's sort of repairing itself, right? But it's repairing itself so fast. You know what? I'm going to just leave that there because I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm not sure if that's a good example, but basically, we have the power to regrow limbs. And like when we lose our teeth, we have our baby teeth and then they fall out, right? And then roughly around about the age of 6, you would get the first tooth falling out, and then your adult teeth grow in, right? They grow back. But then later on, after that, if we lose them again, they they don't regrow. But yet, like the DNA program within our body, um, it kind of like stops, but really it should continue because if they fall out, the baby teeth fall out, and then the DNA programs is to grow back and they grow back, but after that, they don't grow back anymore, you know? And so there's some sort of like interference, interruption within our DNA, deliberately done. And there's so many things that's done to us, that's been done to us way back in time, and then the body follows that kind of like interfered with limited programming. Like if we basically I'm getting a lot of interference here. That always happens. I I I mean, we're all psychic to some degree or other, right? And but I have kind of like quite a double, triple whammy of it. my maternal grandmother was extremely psychic. Then her first daughter, my mother, was also extremely psychic, and I'm my mother's first daughter, and I think I got the two of them onto mine, and I wish I didn't have it. I mean, it has helped me a lot, right? It's helped me a lot, but also it came at like a really huge cost. And because I'm psychically aware of a lot of things, I get attacked a lot by the, I don't want to call them dark. Dark's not bad, but you know what I mean. The dark entities, the 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 demonic realm, put it like that, to be quite blunt. And I mean, there was a time I was always psychic, but I'd never come into contact with like the demonic realm until I got much older. It's just basically I would see like people who would pass, things like that when I was small, and thought it was normal because it was normal to my grandmother, my mother. So then I thought it was normal. But when I got older and became more aware, and I started to research certain things, and I found out that there's so much going on that we don't see. There's a level just outside, or range or vision, excuse me, that I I see, and I really should have followed my own advice and put myself in some kind of protective bubble before I did this video, because it was like an impromptu video. I hadn't really planned anything. I just turned the phone on and sat down in front of it, and so I should have done that, because I get attacked with my throat chakra, so I start to cough and all sorts of stuff, get like stab pains and what have you. And sometimes when we're walking on the road and we stump our toe, it's it's usually like an interference. It's not anything like random. So basically, we're all targeted to some degree or other, and we really should like focus positive energy before we leave the front door for ourselves. And if we've got children, if we're taking children as well, pets even, surround the vehicle that we are going to use, bicycle, car, whatever it is, with lots of light and love. And if we're walking, bless the road that we're walking on. And we really have to fight that this way, because the the attack on us is coming from every angle, and we, too many of us don't realize, and we're getting, like pot shots at us. And thankfully we have like guardians, but we need to do more for ourselves, because the the let's call them baddies. I don't really like using the word demons, but you know what I mean, right? So I say the baddies, right? Even though that's a bit soft sounding for what they really are. They don't stick to any rules. The good do, but they don't stick to any rules. So that's why they get away with so much, because they don't think twice about wanting to like somebody or hurt them or their children, or no matter what. And so, but the good, they follow a certain set of rules. And so that's why it seems as though sometimes things take longer for the positive to happen. Anyway, I don't want to kind of ramble, as I said, because I'm speaking to, but I'm hearing like different conversations and in my ears, and just getting cussed for speaking out, right? And so it's very difficult to concentrate on what I want to say a lot of the time. For me to actually like remember everything I want to say, I would have to like write a lot of notes and so on. But as I said, this is just an impromptu video. But what I really want to say, long story short, is to send as much light and love as you can out into the atmosphere and around all the elements. Just imagine in your mind that you're sending light and love to the earth element, the air, the fire, and the water element, because we've got like fires breaking out all over the world now, and they're kind of like getting more and more extreme. And also, plus we're having like tomorrow's what, the Thursday, the 13th of August, 2026. We're having in the UK our fifth heat wave, and it's going to be anything between 34, 35 to 38 degrees, and that is not normal for the UK. I mean, we've had now and again like a few days of hot weather, but this is sort of like the fifth um the fifth heat wave. The government called it the fifth heat wave in such a short space of time. And we've noticed that for the past few years now, the weather is getting hotter and hotter and for longer and longer periods of time. And I remember there was a time when it was like, if it was 27 degrees, everybody was like happy, yeah, it's going to be like really warm and nice, right? And I know that lots of other places have it more than we're having, up to 38 degrees. We even had 40 degrees a few years back, and that was just like mad. But yeah, it's increasing more and more, and so we have this, right, and so yeah, getting back to concentrate, getting back to the elements, they do need real healing because yeah, we've got the wildfires in France, we've got them in Greece, we've got them in Mexico, we've got them so many places, and now we actually have some here in the UK, like down in the suburbs, and it's not really that normal for us to really have wildfires. And the way wildfires work is how they can move so fast, and when you think that you're in an area that you're okay, right? And suddenly you're not. I mean, in Greece, the wildfires going up towards like Athens, major city, and people there normally would feel, well, now we're here in the capital, nothing much, is going to happen. It's not going to get this far, but you don't know, and so it's best to be be aware and send some, as I said, some positive energy and light, because it does work. It really does work. And to the elements. So if you're an earth element, send out some positive energy towards the earth, right? To the earth element and water and so on. But even if as a particular element, you don't just have to limit yourself to your element, you can also send love and light to another element as well, because we do need to work really fast and just work collectively and help each other as much as possible. So I wanted to touch on that because we get into this kind of like laid back, lackadaisical mindset that if it hasn't happened to us, that we're going to be okay. But we don't know what is in our immediate or short term future or long term even, and so we don't want to be caught unawares. We want to be mentally prepared, and it's really important because where do you go to get away from a fire? And if you have to like leave all your belongings because the fire is coming towards you, and you can only carry a couple of bags or a suitcase or so, and just go where you think that fire is not going to reach, and you literally have to live out of like a suitcase or a couple of bags. And imagine you've got children and elderly and pets and so on, and it's just like, don't take life for granted. But we do have this power, because when we send that positive energy, it acts like a barrier. If enough of us do it, it acts like a barrier to stop that fire, believe it or not. But we have to, it has to be concentrated enough, because mental energy is just so powerful. So it has to be enough of us doing it with really like a strong conviction and intent, because that really is the power we did have to be able to do that, right? We could be able to like control the water so we don't have tsunamis coming in and taking the lives of people and so on. And it it might sound like way out there what I'm saying, but it's simply because we've literally been lobotomized in a sense that so many of us don't even think this far because they've taken out that ability for us to think so deeply, and then they kind of replace it, with just trying to exist. And they've designed this world where we're always suffering, where a house would cost, for example, £1 million, but some cost a lot more, but say a house costs £1 million, but you're working and you're getting £10 an hour, right? And which means there's no way that you would ever be able to afford a house on £10 an hour, working for £10 an hour. So the system is really geared to make us suffer and always longing, because when we are suffering, we are so much more easier to control. And so we have to be able to like discern this. And even though um, we might be put in a state where we're actually struggling to survive, we need to find some place outside ourselves to say, this is not normal, this is not right, and find some time to improve our lives, because the past, it is within our hands and we can improve our lives, but we have to get past the limiting programming, right? We have to get past the limiting programming. I mean, there was a time, for example, when my husband was at university and we just had our first child, and things were like really tough, right? And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, we're so poor, we're so poor, we're so poor, we're so poor. And how are we ever going to survive? How are we ever going to survive? And I remember thinking, nah, this out of sheer desperation, I was like, no, I want to be rich. I'm rich. I'm rich. I'm rich. I've got loads of money. I've got loads of money. Didn't have anything whatsoever. I've got loads of money. I've got loads of money. And I remember I had this watch, right, that I'd been given for someone for like the longest time, and it was literally at the back, which like the one I've got, it says stainless steel at the back, but this was actually like gold. I think it was I can't remember what carat gold it was, but it was gold, and the strap was broken. So I just kind of like put it in a drawer, and I didn't want to throw it away because somebody gave it to me, but I had it for such a long time, put it in the drawer. Anyway, there was a knock on the door, and there were two guys, right? Two men came, and they said, we're buying old jewelry. If you got any old jewelry? And I said, at first I thought, are they going to try and scam me? Who are they? And I said, no. And they said, anything, doesn't matter, old jewelry. So I said, okay, hang on a moment, closed the door, went out and dug around for this watch, right? And I said, all I've got is this watch, but the strap is broken and it's gold watch. He practically grabbed it out of my hand and he said to me, you okay with a few £100? I said, yes, thank you. And whether or not it was worth more, but to me that was just so much, because all I had in the house, I thought, if I buy bread, I don't have butter to put on it, so I can buy the butter and not the bread, or the bread and not the butter. And so I thought, oh my God, I mean, and you know how long I kept that thing, because the strap was broken, and even though it was gold, the back of it was gold. I've never seen one like that before, and I I never kind of thought, oh gosh, this is gold, this is gold. I just thought, someone gave it to me, and and it was it was just like, I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. And that money set me up for like quite a long time, and that's the time I learned to budget, right? And then afterwards I thought, oh my gosh, is this a fluke, or is there something to it? And then I studied it more and I went into it more, right? And now I put myself into that situation where now I have enough to like give food away all the time or give certain things away, and I mean, I don't have millions or anything like that, and I don't need millions to survive. I just want enough to go on a holiday when I want to go on a holiday, have enough food to eat, have enough money to buy, buy my family and friends a present, or go and have a lunch, a meal once in a while, and so on and so on. So I am very comfortable now, financially, and I look back and I thought it's there was a time when I was that poor, right? I was that poor, and didn't want to like bother friends and family, or my mom or anybody like that. Sometimes we do that, don't we? We just kind of like suffer in silence because we don't want to put out the other person or want them to worry about us. But from then on, I thought whether or not this thing it's a fluke or not, I'm going to continue. So I would wake up every morning, I would bless everything around me, I would bless my day, I would thank the universe for the health I had, the children, the healthy child I had at the time, and so on and so on. But yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that it does work. The power of positive thinking really does work, because I even wrote a book on creative visualization, and and other books. So by sheer personal experience, I could say that these things work. So don't think by saying, "Oh, I say light and love to the element of air, earth, fire, water, and so on," that yeah, it's not going to do anything. You might not actually see it at that point in time, but you it will happen. And just one more example, that the power of positive thinking. um, I was asked by um, she wasn't a friend at the time because I met her through someone else, an acquaintance, and she was mad on animals. She had 11 cats at one time. They were beautiful. I mean, I've grown up with cats and dogs. I've had like a dog uh most of my life. I don't have one now because since the last one passed, I thought I can't go through that like sorrow. It's just too much. And but so she had spoken about this place she knew that did animal experiments, and she knew that I love animals as well. So she contacted me through this other person. We went to her home and she asked me if I would like to partake in uh, a sort of a, a prayer, but projecting positive thoughts to this place, right? And we did it. We just surrounded the place with lots of light and love, and asked the universe to help these animals, right? And these dogs. And I think it was just over a week later, we heard that for some reason, I don't know if the officials got in there, whatever, but they closed the place down and they said it's not going to be reopened because they found that they were breaching some kind of laws there, and this is in the UK. And I thought it worked. It worked. And she said to me, this lady, she said to me, they've done it before, so they had proof that it actually worked. But that kind of blew my mind because I'd never done anything like that before. Um, like sending like absent healing and light and love. And then later on, I actually got into doing absent healing myself, what you call spiritual healing, at a local church in Stockwell Spiritualist Church in London. Southwest London. And so one thing led to another, from me just being psychic and seeing people who would pass and thought it was normal, and then this whole other universe opened up to me, and I went into color healing, numerology, astrology, anything with ology at the end of it. I got into, but anyway, I'm kind of like digressing. But yeah, send some light and love whenever you can, wherever you can, to whoever you can. But the elements, because they're going more and more out of out of control. And the latest one we had with is it Sunday Monday with Columbia 7.4, and luckily it was as deep as it was, because if it was a shallow one, if it was near the surface, if it had occurred near the surface, it would have been even more devastating. I mean, one minute you're taking your children to school, or you're shopping, or you're cleaning, or you're having a bath or a shower, and the next minute your whole world is just turned upside down, you know? So we have to like do our part, become protectors of the earth and our environment, because the others don't waste a minute attacking us at every level, every minute of every day. So don't walk kind of like blind to the things that are happening, and you can make a difference. All right, thank you for listening, Diana. Bye bye.